Well, hi, Tree. Nice to be here with you. And where Tree has some amazing experiences with the therapeutic tremor mechanism. So I just had to come on with you after our last conversation and share some of this beauty that you've experienced with the world. So thank you for doing this with me, Tree. And yeah, so you've had many interesting experiences. Um, you got into it um, kind of, I guess, maybe a little bit later in life than many. I think you said 47, right? And you first shook it after, like, during a birthing process.
Yeah, I was probably 26. I'm 64 now, and I did experience shaking during the birth of my children. And I was lucky enough to have natural births, and particularly the home birth, the second birth of my daughter, I remember shaking profusely. And it was probably because everything was in alignment with that birth, that I wasn't fending off medical staff or, I had my mother, my sister, a friend, my husband, a fire, a candle. The scene was set for a beautiful birth. And after birthing Grace, my daughter, yeah, my body did shake profusely. And I didn't really know what it was at the time, but it did feel like a debrief, a de-escalation of the system. And it felt right. And because my body had done so well with the birthing, I thought, oh, my body really knows what to do. So I just let it shake. And yeah, so that was probably the first remembered experience of shaking. I'm not
Mm,
sure if I've shaken probably as a kid, if I've fallen off horses or,
yeah.
accidents or fears or traumas. Probably the body would have shaken, but that's the first memory of it. Yeah.
Yeah, well, let me ask you, did you, in that first memory, had you learned anything before, or did it just spontaneously arise through you?
It spontaneously arose. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
So
I love that. Yeah.
yeah, knew nothing of TRE whatsoever. It spontaneously arose through the body and it erupted. It was quite vigorous. Yeah. The
I
shaking.
yeah,
Yeah.
I find that super powerful when it awakens in people without them learning it from the outside, because the whole premise is that it's an instinctive mechanism that we're all born with. It's innate, and it really should be something we kind of naturally do from being really young. I mean, babies are doing it in the cribs all the time. Um, but yeah, somewhere we tend to, our culture has us suppress it unknowingly. Yeah. But at the
Yeah.
same time, it's important to teach this stuff, share it
Yeah.
with the world, because a lot of people don't have that awakening experience.
Absolutely. Yeah. Even just reframing it, that we're coming out of an overwhelm or a freeze. When my kids used to shake, if they had an accident as a kid, I didn't know about it. And so I would hug them and hold them, and I'd stop that response, which is pretty sad that I didn't know. And I mucked up their release. And so they've stored things in their body. They now tremor as adults, but with my grandkids, if they have an accident and they shake, I just put my hand on their back and I say, "Oh, your body's shaking that one out," and just support them and encourage them to let it come. So, yeah, even just having it reframed is
Hmm.
beautiful, but also to be taught the techniques so as we can go into the backlog of what's stored is incredibly life changing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's revolutionary. It really shifts people's lives very quickly and efficiently, I found. Yeah.
Yeah.
So then I guess somewhere along the way you found you did start practicing it through TRE, and how long was that after your first birthing memory of the shaking?
Probably I was 26 when I shook. Prior to that, I have a memory of, which I spoke to you about earlier, seeing a tribe on television when I was a kid. And they danced and danced to drumming, and they danced and danced until their bodies shook, and the whole tribe was just spontaneously combusted into movement. And I can remember that having a really strong impression on me. It was like, gosh, these people really were living, living in the elements, and their bodies were living and obviously releasing and coming alive. So that struck me. But later, when I was 47, I started my healing journey. So I was beginning menopause and feeling that was a portal for me to remove myself from the world and just take a break and have a look at my life, have a life review. And I had quite an interesting healing journey through that. I don't need to go into that so much now, but part of that was with spirit guides and going into the body to feel into the held trauma. And often my body would, I would go in and address and look, and I'd have memories of childhood places, and my body would often shake and make noise as it released. So this is still pre-TRE. So I'll just add here. So for me, TRE is a way to regulate that
Like, oh, okay,
spontaneous.
interesting.
Yeah. So for me, the beauty and intelligence of TRE is that we're coming out of freeze, but we want to do it in a way that we're healing and we're not overwhelming our system further.
That makes sense to me. It keeps it safe and sustainable and
Uh,
perhaps even more effective when it
yeah,
is
effective.
sustainable. Yeah.
Effective. Bottom line, just like, there's a healing journey to be had here rather than further overwhelm. And I want to come back to this with maybe psychedelic trips and some people that are coming out of freeze as well. But I then started after that a few years of healing, a 3-year healing journey. I started to do shamanic healing on other people. I was guided to do that, and it was hands-on work. And
Is
during
this
that
pre-TRE still, or yeah, yeah, pre.
pre-TRE,
Okay.
but it's like, okay, shaking in the body, like
Yeah, yeah.
spontaneous. Because TRE, as we know, is just a technique, a great technique, but a technique to invoke and regulate. And when I was hands on people, often their body would profusely shake in an area and release. And yeah, again, I didn't know what it was, but intuitively it felt right. It felt like a release. And
And I would suppose like you were able to get people into that because you yourself are able to access that.
yeah, perhaps. And do you know what? I even think even stronger than that. Like I know it's people talk about sharing the shake, but I feel deeply that the shake is obviously within us all. And if a practitioner is present, the organism feels safe enough to begin to heal and to begin to open and unfreeze.
Mm, that
And
makes complete sense. Yeah.
the shaking commences. So, if I'm doing body work on people, uh, just putting my hands on their feet and really being consciousness, really being there, the body will just open, and it's
Mm,
beautiful. Yeah,
mm,
and then I tell them about what's happening. So getting to TRE. So I had incredible chronic jaw pain, and it would have been maybe 2013. I don't know how old I was, maybe nearly 50. And I just kept getting teeth out of my mouth because I had so much pain. I was desperate.
Eee.
Yeah, it had gone on for years. Uh, and my dentist, I think I traumatized my dentist deeply, but I was just desperate for pain relief. And I thought, I don't care, what it takes. I just really want that relief. Anyway, I got three teeth taken out and of my mouth, and I still had chronic pain. So my sister was in Melbourne at the time, and she went to a TRE workshop, and she said, "I think you'd really love this work. Come along." And so I went to a weekend workshop, and my system was so dysregulated then that I was probably dissociated, I would say, for until I practiced TRE for a while, probably a good year of TRE, and I could come into my body. But before then, I always lived out here where it was comfortable. And I did that first weekend, and we tremored all weekend, and my body took to it profusely and unwound fascia, and my whole jaw unwound from chronic tension.
Ah, that's so nice.
I
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
And so I was completely sold, Keith. I was like, this is the counterpart to life and all that contraction. This is the counterpart. This is the release. This is the, coming back to our almost pristine state. And it's not instant, but for me, the pain relief was amazing. And because I had a bit of a visionary way of being in that time, I could see everything that was leaving the body, from hard traumas to softer traumas.
Mm.
So sometimes I have clients saying, "Oh, I don't know, it's, my body's just shaking." But for me, from the very beginning, I could see what was happening. And they were memories that I couldn't even remember. Like one time in a workshop, I was doing this crazy movement and breathing and screaming and one of the teachers at the workshop said, "Oh, it's okay. It looks intense. Are you okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm okay." But I just really went back into that trauma pattern, and she said, "But she doesn't know what it is, it's okay." And I said, "Well, actually, I do not know what it is, and it is okay. It was just me as a little kid in a canoe being chased by my brother and sister. So it was just like that fear and excitement, and that had overwhelmed this little girl with these older siblings coming to get me, like a soft trauma, but still stored in the system." Yeah.
It's amazing how this stuff can go way back there, deep within us, and start just unraveling these
Mm.
little well, little, but they're huge.
Huge,
that we
yeah,
don't even we forget about, and then it just like frees
yeah,
us, and those
yeah,
things are affecting our system,
yeah,
our whole lives. Often we don't even know until we do.
yeah. So,
It's
that was
amazing.
trauma, and it was there impacting the system, just an overwhelm.
Yeah,
So for me, I could see, but whereas, mostly we don't see, and that can be a real blessing too.
yeah, yeah.
Just to allow, just to allow the body to open, to release, to come alive, can without knowing, can be an
That's
absolute blessing. Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the absolutely beautiful things about neurogenic tremoring is that we don't have to go into the logical story of it all the time. Like we can release through the body somatically.
Mm.
And yeah, sometimes we work with this story, but very often we don't even need
Yeah.
to do this. And
Yeah.
or like if it does move through, it's like it's just in a moment of, and it's often unexpected, and it's my experience, it's very easy because it's just like we're witnessing it happen instead of like forcing something to forcing ourselves to go there or something like that. It's just a happening in the moment,
Yeah,
being
I still
present.
ask clients to just stay with the body, just stay with the body. Don't you we don't have to go to story, As I say, I'm sort of quite visual, but if you don't have to do that, you don't have to do it. Just allow, allow that to
Yeah, yeah.
release. But for me, that was just it convinced me that this is actually doing something because it's recalling uh, trauma patterns that are stored within my system. So it just convinced me completely. But even further than that, Keith, for me, the pain, the knowing what's coming out of my system, the highlight for me has been healing the nervous system. So
Nervous system regulation,
yeah,
or I like to say nervous system hygiene often. It's like
yeah,
it's one of nature's best ways for regulating the nervous system, I feel.
yeah. Yeah, and it's shifted my life completely from, previously before. I would say it took probably 2 years to heal my nervous system, but as I say, I was very dysregulated and very dissociated. So it took time, but even 2 years,
Well,
and
yeah, I'd
body
like to
to,
add that in terms of how long a lot of people hold on to this stuff, 2 years is nothing, especially if it's 3, 4, 5, 6 decades of pent up stuff. Like 2 years is a blink of the eye, really.
it is,
In
and a
terms
lot
of
of
efficiency, this stuff works quick relatively, like, and it actually gets to the root of the problems instead of covering the symptoms and suppressing. So just for our viewers out there watching this, 2 years is nothing when it's 3, 4, 5 decades of accumulated stuff.
months, 3 months, and the nervous system comes out of that continual activation of fight, flight, fawn, freeze. And yeah, for me, I used to only be able to be comfortable with plants and animals,
What do you
and
mean?
I couldn't,
Like,
in a room of people, my nervous system was
yeah,
regulated, and that I would just be tuning into the energies of people, and it would be overwhelming.
yeah,
When we've had trauma, we're often clocked to read the energy in the room to protect our organism. Uh, yeah, and so yeah, people were overwhelming, and I couldn't be around them.
yeah, and
So
also like we live in a world, especially in the big cities and such, where almost like most people are living in a dysregulated nervous system to some extent, maybe, not necessarily extreme trauma, but a bunch of little anxieties and stresses that are like keeping us in that fight or flight mode all the time. And if we're sensitive, we're going to be feeling that, and it's going to be wow, overwhelming. And then if we ourselves are in trauma, then yeah, that just exasperates it.
yeah, yeah. So totally life changing for me. I feel like, I could never sit, I could never meditate, I could never sit still because there was a soup of sensation and dysregulation in my system. And now, I'm, working
So
for
you had
people.
a so through healing the trauma, right? You had a sort of spiritual awakening, you'd say. I think I remember you saying that before.
Yeah, I feel that healing trauma is a literal path to spiritual awakening as well. So not only do we, have the opportunity to become regulated, embodied, but I feel so that's great. So you're a less reactive person. You can be embodied, you can be responsive, you can be more functional, your cortex is online. Life is, you're just more effective at living on the planet, bottom line. Second part to this is, yeah, I really feel like this spontaneous movement, this releasing of trauma, is a path to spiritual awakening, uh, which
And I
is,
agree with that totally. It's my experience for
yeah,
sure.
yeah,
Well,
and
when we're not in trauma and we shift that, we come into homeostasis and balance, then the other side of all that is cultivating our fullest potential, awakening in the yogic context, our kundalini and um, our meditation practices become more effective. Like, I don't believe it's very effective to meditate in a traumatized
no,
nervous system.
no.
And maybe it's better than doing nothing sometimes, but generally, like, it's, I think often it's not so effective.
Yeah, I agree with that, Keith. Some clients, I do meditation with people and spiritual awakening retreats and the like. And for some people, their nervous system is so dysregulated, it's not time to sit in that soup. It's too much to sit in
Mm.
that soup sensation. So, of course, we tremor, we do movement, we do healing, we do body work, we do release, and then eventually, yeah, you can sit in the body. Consciousness can be in the body, and that's embodiment, and that's a beautiful stage. About the spiritual awakening thing, I suppose I'd describe here concepts of spiritual awakening. What I feel it is, what you think it is, and for me, my experience of it was. And they can all occur in different stages. First of all, I had Kundalini rising when I was 47, doing that work on myself, energetic work with spirit guides. I had a Kundalini rising. I didn't have a full Kundalini awakening until 2016, which I feel TRE also makes way for, because it clears the system. It clears the more gross bodily uh, ones, numbers, whatever. So I had a unity consciousness, a heart opening. I had a heart opening first. And of course, this spiritual awakening happens within the body. So often it's a head awakening first, but for some reason I had a heart awakening. And that opened me into unity consciousness and a feeling like I am one with everything, a oneness with everything. And that, even for me, because of I'm quite visual, occurred literally. Like I'd be driving past an eagle stripping meat while I'm driving on the road, and my consciousness would hop into the eagle, and I would be experiencing what that's like to be doing
Mm.
that. So it was a broad unity consciousness, but it was also localized. I would experience how it felt to be that client as they walked away. I would embody the feeling of them and what their life was like. So it was sort of literal and vast. Second awakening, I would say, for me, is the head awakening. Vast, spacious, dry awareness, where personal identity falls away. So ego falls, and there's just a vast spaciousness. And then for me, there was like a gut awakening, and I feel that can occur with the healing of the trauma. So, with the healing of the trauma, which is a path, the consciousness, all that vast consciousness, that unity consciousness, can embody the vessel, so can embody the human system and reside. For me, it feels like it resides in the gut. And the
The
belly softens, and there's a sense of safety. There's a sense of safety in the body. There's also a sense of safety because ultimately we're not the body.
It's interesting you mentioned the head, the heart, the belly, because in Qigong theory they talk about the three dantians, which are literally one way to look at it is the belly mind, the heart mind, the head mind, and it's like boom, boom, boom. You've lit up these three areas, these three different major intelligences in our system, like the wisdom. I believe when this one wakes up, and goes beyond the ego. It's like the wisdom mind, and then the heart mind is that like intuitive and emotional intelligence, and then the gut mind is like our primal, instinctive animal body intelligence, which I feel largely is where the animalistic tremor mechanism comes in. And it kind of leads, especially the physical, like body and movement, and that gut. We've all heard of the gut instinct, it's that, and science is finding neurons in these areas. So it's like there's literally, even scientifically, they're showing that these areas are brains essentially in some ways.
Mm, mm. So the body, yeah, so important. Like, ultimately consciousness isn't the body, but the body is
Oh,
amazingly,
so important. Like a healthy body, a healthy vessel,
yeah,
it makes spiritual awakening so much more easy and efficient. Like it's not impossible in an unhealthy body, but having a healthy vessel makes it so much easier and more effective. And to come back to the tremoring, the neurogenic movement and such, this just opens and clears the body in ways that nothing else I've ever found really does. So it's like get this into your life, your practice, everyone, because it's really, really
it is like,
effective.
yeah,
It's
it's like,
hygiene.
yeah.
It's
And it
like
has,
brushing our teeth for the nerves of our body.
I
It's a
say,
good analogy.
to my husband, I don't know how people can live without this. I don't know how well they live, but as you said before, there's no inner peace, and there was no inner peace in my system um, prior to this work.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
Kundalini is the icing on the cake, but even without Kundalini, just this spontaneous release changes everything. And I feel like, going back to the spiritual awakening briefly, the ego's consisting of sanskaras, so past life impressions, conditioning. So we have to live through the past life impressions and work through them in this bodily, earthly way. Conditioning we can work through with a bit of intelligence and awareness, looking at our life and conditioning. And the third aspect of ego, I feel, is trauma. And this is where this spontaneous movement, shaking medicine, TRE, whatever you call it, if it's done in an intelligent, healing fashion, or if it's allowed and regulated, then the trauma releases, the nervous system settles, and underneath that, in all of us, is our God nature, whatever you call it, true nature, um, capital self, and without the noise of the ego, that can start to surface and that can start to proliferate in this body mind vessel.
yeah.
Yeah.
My experience is pretty much exactly that, and often share in shaking medicine this style of exploring neurogenic movement that I've created. People ask me these sorts of questions, and I often share like, yeah, what happens is first this neurogenic movement starts to shift the heavy, dense trauma and tensions and suppressed emotions, and then as that clears, well, we move more into harmony. And then beyond that, it starts to if we keep going with it, it starts to awaken us into our fullest potential more and more, and do things like activate our kundalini potential, but not like through force, which often the modality kundalini yoga tries to do, but through just being, through complete surrender and letting go. And when the heaviness shifts, the kundalini just opens, and our potential arises. So that's kind of the rough map that I see happening in myself and other people too.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yeah. And as you say, the map can sort of, this one can open first, or that one can open first, or the Kundalini can rise and then fully,
yeah,
with
yeah.
maps can sort of vary, but yeah, there is a map in this. And
Well, it's
really,
circular. It's not linear, that's for sure. It's more like there's not one. It can come in different stages. It can go up, like back and forth. We might heal some trauma, awaken some potential, heal some more trauma, awaken some more potential. So it's,
absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah. I went for body work last week, and I probably add in here too that uh, I know we both do body work, so body work and
Oh,
the
I love
Seiki
it.
yeah, just works perfectly together. I take my body for body work, and I went for some deep tissue work last week, and a lot of intergenerational stuff. I had visions of my mother and a lot of her stuff coming out of my body. And yeah, I think anytime the flesh, the fascia's touched into the muscle, and the sacred spine, anytime we delve into that, we're delving into all parts of our past, all parts of
Mm.
humanity, really.
So this body work, it's such an interesting topic in the context of neurogenic tremoring, because my experience is like I've been doing this. I deep dove into this modality out of Australia called Zen Tai Shiatsu. I learned with the founder of it, Gwen Williams, and I just absolutely love it. They're an amazing community. It's one of the coolest, most like enlivening communities I've ever found, and and it's given me like such an amazing foundation for working with the body, all aspects of it. And then
Mm,
what I found, and I can't even help it, it just happens, like I'm working with someone, relaxing their nervous system, breathing with them, tuning in, and then probably most people these days that I work with end up in the shaking medicine, the neurogenic tremoring, and pretty much 100% if they have their own tremoring practice. But even if they've never done it before, I'd say it's like probably more than half start to have tremors,
mm,
even if they don't even know what it is yet. And so it's like this is just happening. I feel like it's because I've worked with it so much in myself and with others. It's like it's tuning into a whole nother depth in the body work of working with the subtle energies, the trapped emotions, the traumas in the body that I don't see. I haven't seen many if any body workers really get people into that space unless they've themselves embodied this neurogenic movement. I'm sure it happens, sometimes because they're relaxing the person. But yeah, like, and I love that I've met you now and Alex Green doing this work with body work and the tremoring, but there's so few people that at least that I've met so far, that are exploring this combination.
mm.
I've seen like Instagram posts and stuff of others doing it, but as far as like meeting people, it's really you and Alex Green now that I'm tuning in about this. So I'd love to hear if you want to expand on your experience with that or your thoughts, it's so fascinating.
Yeah, I think it's beautiful. The work on the body is profound, and as I say, I love the tremoring as a process. I use it all the time, and yet at times uh, I go for body work because my body sometimes needs another mammal. It might need some deeper work, really touching in quite deeply into the psoas muscle, into the, where there's pain and holding. Yeah, I feel, yes, tremoring is great, and I do it by myself, and I've healed so much trauma, and I've healed my nervous system with it, and I go deeper. And I learned a bodywork technique too, Keith, called transformational body work, and a woman called Suzanne Zankin teaches it. She's a beautiful teacher, and the work is profound. I think it was devised in the 70s by a man called Durisha, and he did an amazing job of sort of collaborating Ida Rolf's work and painter's work. And he also had a shamanic background and spiritual awakening background, and he's included this into the work. So it's deep tissue, but it's deep on other levels as well. And it's beautiful work,
Um,
touch to the body, and sometimes, for example, the person on the table will. I'll give an example of someone recently. You can see they're at a certain age, so maybe like 8-year-old. So they're going back into a trauma pattern. And you can ask, you can see there's a shift. What's happening there? Oh, I want to cry, but I can't. This is a certain case study. A boy that was in boarding school. I'm not allowed to cry.
mm,
And so to recalibrate that out of the system, we've touched into it, and they've appeared at that age. And, a hand on the back, it's okay to cry, it's safe to cry.
mm,
And on the table, they let that out, they cry, and, that dissipates from the system.
mm,
Other times, there's 3 Zen sessions where we work on the core of the bottle, so the central channel. And in those sessions, fully clothed this time, so not into the flesh, but unwinding from the head or the legs, and held in there is all sorts of trauma and impressions from past life, intergenerational, in utero, early childhood, and birth material. And often, working with the head, a person will re-experience their birth, so they'll slither off the table as a newborn with glistening little eyes.
mm,
And it's all spontaneous movement. They've gone back to their own birth, and they rebirth, and there they have the opportunity to recalibrate their first gaze that they missed out on, if they
mm.
missed out on it, which in a lot of birth trauma, the baby does miss out on that. And that first gaze
Um,
is a beautiful way to set their nervous system. Hello, welcome to the planet. I've got you. I'm here. And it's this beautiful setup. But a lot of us are, staring at a white ceiling, and
yeah, well, yeah,
there's
powerful. Thank you
so
for sharing.
yeah, and there's, many, many examples. There's experience of everything is in the flesh. Everything, the whole history of the universe is in the flesh. And so transformational body work can touch into
Yeah,
transpersonal
right.
experience, personal experience.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it's
Beautiful.
full. It's amazing. It's the most amazing modality I've ever experienced
Yeah.
myself. Yeah. And I love it.
Yeah.
doing it. Yeah, I love
Yeah,
doing it.
right. I have to
Body.
look more into it.
Yeah, I think you.
Transform. Even the name sounds powerful. Transformational body
Yeah,
work.
very
Actually,
powerful.
I just remembered two more people. I don't want to leave them out that I've met that does work with body work and tremoring together.
Yeah.
And that's Richmond Heath down in Melbourne. And in Canada, Dr. William Sutherland. I'm remembering now that they told me before that they work hands-on. And the TR people probably know Richmond Heath, uh, who's one of the oldest in the sense of doing it the longest TRE facilitators. And Dr. William Sutherland is an amazing human, a medical doctor that's worked closely with Dr. Bradford Keeney. I'm sure actually he probably works body work and trimming, no doubt. But I haven't met him. I would love to.
Mm.
And Dr. William Sutherland's an amazing medical doctor that's one of the pretty much the last active teacher of this modality called Seiki Jutsu out of a traditional kind of autogenic movement modality out of Japan. And he's, as far as we know, he's the last person in the world actively sharing it. And it's an amazing modality, very complementary to TRE and shaking medicine. It's another flavor of it, and it's really cool. I've been doing his sessions recently. But
Mm.
anyway,
Yeah.
maybe there was one. There's so much you've mentioned throughout this that I'd love to expand on. One you mentioned earlier was about you mentioned psychedelics. Do you want to expand into that realm, or what
Yeah,
do you
yeah, just
feel?
a little bit about the body coming out of freeze, and I'm wondering, I get a lot of clients that want Kundalini support, so they're having, a difficult ride with the Kundalini, and it can be difficult. And sometimes I'm even just wondering if a lot of the young, particularly young men, a lot of young men have psychedelic trips and they have uh, an opening in the system. It's almost like the body has been kick-started into spontaneous movement. And I'm not even convinced it's Kundalini as such. And I sort of, we've spoken about this before, Keith, but there is a distinction and there's not. So for me, there is, but maybe there's not. So it's undecided. But for me, Kundalini, if it's occurring, it's like a force that's coming up the Sushumna, and the body might react from that, but you can feel that energetic force coming up, and the body will then, if you haven't unwound, the body will then jolt and spasm and try and release blocks within the system. Whereas for me, TR, and could never stop my Kundalini, Shakti would just do her thing and I couldn't stop. Sometimes I could ask her to please.
Shakti wants her Kundalini to awaken. That's her true nature.
Yeah, and it's just an evolutionary process, to bring us home to our true nature. So it's a wonderful and beautiful thing. What I wanted to say was, I feel like some of these psychedelic trips are maybe kickstarting an unfreeze. And maybe it's not even Kundalini, maybe it's just spontaneous movement. And a lot of these young fellows, we have sessions and I say, it's okay what's happening, but you need to learn to regulate it so that you're not exhausted, overwhelmed. Spontaneous movement is natural, it will heal you. And I teach them how to stop and start. So I teach them TRE because
Yeah,
some
yeah.
of them are shaking for like 10, 12 hours a day and they're totally overwhelmed. They're burnt
It's too
out.
much.
Too
Way,
much.
way too much.
Yeah, way too much. And they're like, well, Kundalini Shakti's got me, and I'm just going to let it, like Westerners, let's get it all done now. But in
Yeah,
fact, I feel it's counterproductive. You're
I
actually just
agree.
overwhelming your system more and more, and there's no healing there. So I teach them TRE, and I teach them to stop and start, and I teach them a bit of patience, and that sometimes less is more, and just practice, do the practice, and if it is Kundalini, sure, sometimes you can't stop Shakti. She's just on a mission, and I get that. But all of these young men that I've had can stop and start. They can regulate. So I think that perhaps, and I don't know, I'm just interested what you think and what you've discovered on this. Are these psychedelic trips, flicking an opening to the spontaneous movement?
Yeah,
Yeah,
so I have so many thoughts on this. I'm experienced in this realm and love working in it and with these sometimes with these medicines in the right moments with the right people.
yeah,
But it's interesting. I saw just the other day in the United States, President Trump, he had Joe Rogan in his Oval Office. It's such a funny show, but they signed a legislation legalizing in some capacity psychedelics for trauma and mental health healing. So that's really progressive, I feel, and so this topic in a way relates to what how the world is shifting. So I have many thoughts, and actually I want to try to summarize them in a few minutes or so. I had a podcast with Alex Green not so long ago where we talked a lot about this as well. Um, I see psychedelics as something that opens us. It kind of it shuts the ego off, so we get out of our own way, and we can more easily let go of control, which is where these autogenic mechanisms can arise more easily and flow through us. So many people experience these tremors for the first time on their psychedelic experience, and they often enough they never heard about it before, so it kind of frightens them. They're like, oh my god, something's wrong, and they end up having a not so pleasant trip because they think they should stop the tremors. Not always. I'm kind of giving an average case here, but and then they come to me, they find something like shaking medicine and or TRE, and they're like, wow, the first time I experienced that was on psychedelics, but I didn't know what it was. And conversely, those who learn things like shaking medicine, TRE, and learn how that this is a safe mechanism, we can regulate, we can stop and start, and learn how to do it sustainably. They then go off and do their psychedelic journey when they're ready. And I'm not saying that's required. It's just, some people end up wanting to do that. And they often come back to me and report that their favorite part was allowing the tremoring during the journey. So yeah, there's a lot of benefit and I believe synthesis to these medicines that are very complementary. Like I see shaking medicine as like it's almost like a psychedelic experience without having any substances. It's completely natural in the sense that it's
love that the body can, the flesh, the fascia, without, for me, the psychedelics, I'm not so into them. It's like, we can experience transpersonal experience by using our voice or going into our flesh. Yeah, I feel like we've got it all in the body. We don't, I know that perhaps it can
totally
be, it can be healing for some people. Um, Yeah, but a lot of them, it just puts them into fright because their body is tremoring and they don't know what it is and they're so frightened, and they can't regulate. So, yeah, it's beautiful that they know it's natural and you can regulate it, and and maybe then Kundalini will come. But I'm not convinced that Kundalini is open for them. I think that just they've had as you say, a
Yeah.
quietening of. So whoa, all this stuff's going to.
Well, I
Yeah,
would recommend anyone thinking about doing a psychedelic journey to first learn something like TRE or shaking medicine, because it's a sober, completely natural, sober way to learn how to let go of control, which is what psychedelics are all about, and to finally get to the connection of Kundalini there. And in my view, so far, which is always evolving, and Kundalini, it's not like there's a kind of science to it, a fleshed out way, in the yogic works, but to me, it's more of a poetry than like a scientific test we can do, like an A/B test, which means it's experiential. It's up to interpretation. It's beautiful and it's powerful. It's in our senses, in our energy field. So there's no right or wrong precise answer of what this is or what our experience is. I feel like this tremor mechanism, or even more generally, these autonomic, autogenic mechanisms, are intimately connected with Kundalini, not in the sense that they're necessarily the same, but the intelligence behind them is connected. And my experience with this is like, first, this intelligence, it shakes us and it tremors us, it moves us how we need to be moved to shift the trauma, the trapped emotions, the tensions. And then as that clears, that intelligence, or a similar intelligence that's behind that, just starts to, okay, we'll put that energy to the Kundalini awakening now, or to bring it into a general context, just the awakening of our human potential, which we can direct to, like, our craft, our art, like what do we want to cultivate for us, our work, or whatever it is.
yeah, it's
Um,
absolutely beautiful. And I love it when the Kundalini reaches the point when Shakti Mars starts to, uh, when it comes past release, when not that release is ever over, but when it goes to a point past release for a moment or two, and the body is then informed, and so the body will go into sacred dance, into mudras, into sacred sounds, and that shifts the whole. That's the enlightening of our system. So, of
mm,
course, releasing is a really important part through the shaking medicine, the TRE. Then the Kundalini releases more, and then she starts to inform by, forming our body into spontaneous yoga poses, spontaneous sacred dances, mudras. I don't know what they are. I don't study them, but my body is pushed into.
that's my experience too. A lot of this yoga stuff spontaneously just happens. And I personally believe the ancient sages that, founded yoga or whatever, or started it, that's how they came into it, most likely, is like they were just in deep trance states, allowing this kind of energy, and these like crazy mudras would express, not because they were trying to do it, because energy was trying to optimize itself in the human system, and that sort of thing. So yeah,
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 it's beautiful, and it's our sort of like birthright as humans to for that to evolve within us.
yeah,
And I'll reiterate that the shaking medicine, the TRE, makes way for this to occur. I feel, yeah,
yeah,
it's
100%.
more likely.
Well, one more thing on that. It's like, in studying, because I have practiced and studied Kundalini yoga and other things, and to me, that modality, and it is a modality, it's not Kundalini in and of itself, but that modality, Kundalini yoga, is they're trying to force their way there. And I don't feel that's a very effective way. It might, I think it has applications, but more like, I feel like that sort of thing might be more effective to play with it once we've cleared our system, but not to force our way there. It's just, it's not effective. I haven't seen many people, if any, like truly awaken their Kundalini through that way.
Yeah, well,
Um,
it's about, Kundalini is about shifting, ultimately about shifting consciousness. So it's not about the person getting something. It's not about the ego attaining Kundalini. Kundalini is about shifting us out of there. It's
mm,
about shifting consciousness completely to our true nature. So they're sort of coming to it from, well, might be a bit judgmental of me, but I feel it's coming from the wrong angle. It's
me
like they,
too.
it's acquisitive. I want Kundalini. You won't get Kundalini. Kundalini will flow through your
Exactly.
and shift your consciousness, and you won't be there anymore.
I see like if anyone out there wants to, well, it's kind of going what you're saying, but if you want to, without trying to do it, like awaken this Kundalini, like do another name I thought for shaking medicine would have been like Yin Kundalini Yoga. This is the feminine way of awakening, not the forceful way. I mean, I don't really like that name, but that's a way to look at it. Of like, this is the way of letting go of control to allow that to just spontaneously arise. And it works. Like it efficiently moves the trauma, it efficiently awakens our potential. So yeah, maybe is there anything else you'd like to share with us
Uh,
today?
Yeah, one last thing I want to just probably share is I've been really enjoying working on retreat lately. We've done some community healing work, and just that body being, held in that mammalian community has been incredible. We did some shaking sessions on our last retreat where we could lay on the mat, and I went first, and you can order, it's like a hamburger with a lot. It's a shaking session with a lot. You can order whatever you want. So for me, I was like, I'd love someone to put their hands on my ankles, and as the session went on, I wanted my arms stretched above my head, and I wanted some toning from people, and just TRE is a self-healing technique, and it's magic as that. But this is like, ooh, additives. This is like extra, and in the beginning when I was dysregulated, that would have been a nightmare for me, and it would not have helped my system at all. It would have been the opposite. I would have walked out the room and not done it. So, of course, it's optional, it's optional. We wouldn't force a nervous system into it, but we've created a shaking Sangha here, and everyone's quite comfortable. And for me, I had beautiful releases, and then everyone got a turn. Now, some people said, I don't want you to look. I want you to close your eyes, but I want you to pray for me while I'm shaking. And I want Tree to put her hands here, and other people. My sister came and my son came to this retreat, which was just magic for me having those two there. And
No, it's so
it
nice having the family
was
joining
great.
us. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it was so beautiful. It's like, oh, my parenting probably created trauma, even though I did my best job, you know. And I'm like, okay, well, now you've got the techniques to heal yourselves. And you know, my sister requested that my son flap an eagle wing over her, and I hold her, you know, over the heart. Or everyone had different requests, and it from nothing, closed eyes, but pray for me, to hands-on, toning, singing, all sorts of beautiful additives, whatever the nervous system wanted. And the release was profound, it was deep. And what I noticed, Keith, which was really interesting for me, was some people did really big release, and then they literally, I was with them, and they literally grabbed me for a hug, because it was, they'd gone back into trauma pattern, and it was quite overwhelming. And they like grappled for me out of their tremor, hugged, and I just put my hand on their back and said, I'm here with you. I've got you. And the depth of that and the release and the support of that was incredible. It sort of really opened my eyes and heart to what is possible in community healing. And those people, when they first experienced that trauma, no one was there for them. And that's why the trauma has, you know, stored in the system. So it was interesting for me. I didn't know what would happen. Uh, I've done hands-on work before, but particularly this grasping for support and a hug was really fascinating to me. And two people that had really big releases did that, and their system, I could feel their system just melt in that support. And that, yeah, that was fascinating, profound, and wonderful. So, yeah.
That's so beautiful. Yeah, doing this with others in community and in retreats and classes can be really, really supportive. And the shakings, in a way, it's contagious. Like if we're around someone doing the shaking, it's like, whoa, our nervous system's like, oh, me too. Often it
Let
can
go.
be, yeah, it's
I
very
can
supportive.
feel like because someone had a big release, other people were like, oh, this is allowed. We're allowed.
Yeah,
Oh, wow, you know, and we're supported in that. We're not judged. And as I say, it wouldn't be for everyone's nervous systems. I also say to some people, people are having big releases and it's too much for your nervous system. Please take yourself on the grass and, you know, just pray for the people out there. Don't stay, you know, don't stay. So it's not for everyone to be in that space.
yeah.
But, you know, if there's the capacity there in the nervous system to be non-judgmental, loving, grounded within that space, then the healing capacity is just expanded. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
So that's my
So
latest this week.
that's beautiful. So how to wrap this up, how do people find you, join your retreats or contact you? What do you offer? If you want to share all that, that would be beautiful.
That is lovely. I have a website which you can check out the work. Thanks for sharing that. It's www.awakeningthroughthebody.com.au. So, yeah, there's TRE on there. I teach on Zoom. I teach in person. We have Shaking to Awaken class, which is beautiful. We talk about awakening. We talk about, you know, where we are in our process, what's happening in our life. We shake together, and we often chant or tone. So that was a part of my own awakening process, to tone and chant. Again, clearing out the vessel with different god names, different cultures, or just toning. Yeah.
Mm. sounding and shaking together is so powerful. Yeah, well, I'll be sure to link that up as well in the description. And thank you so much, Tree, for your time and sharing your wisdom with us. I really, really appreciate it. Um,
Nice
yeah,
to
thank you.
contact. And if you're ever in Australia, come and visit. Yeah.
I'm a citizen, so I will be back. And which part of Australia?
New South Wales, in Wyndham, New South Wales. Yeah, on the far south coast, just inland
Beautiful.
hills. Yeah.
Okay, nice. All right. Sounds amazing. Well, you have a beautiful rest of your day, and I'm sure we'll be in touch soon.
Lots of love.
So much love.
See you, Keith.